Yeah, wait for the folks to come up in here. Your boy DELRAY, Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, straight game TV. Let's talk about it. I'm gonna talk about it from a personal perspective. Um, from what I saw, from what I understand. Um, let's talk about it. Waiting for y'all to come up in here. Hopefully YouTube sending out Tone, what's happening? Hopefully YouTube sending out my notifications. Joe, peace, brother. What's happening? Straight game, yes, sir. Givo Ron, John Serrano. What's up, John? Thanks. Rondell Hartley. Yeah, we gonna talk about it. Miss Matthews, what's up? How you doing? Thank you for coming in. June Askew. Hey, what's happening, June? We gonna talk about it, y'all. What's up, Battle Axe? Key Brown. Here go Proxy 0804, Crystal Hope. Underwrite Entertainment. What's happening? Let's get into it. So on Breakbeat Media recently, y'all heard Suge say gave his opinion on how he felt about saying that Dr. Dre and everybody else was jealous of Tupac. When Tupac, how you doing, Sheila? Asked you, um, uh, Dr. Dre, Snoop, Daz, and everybody was jealous of Tupac when Tupac came to death row. Um, right, yeah, that could be true to Napoleon video got Daz mad. Yeah, Key Brown, what's happening? So let me tell you what I understand, what I know personally, right? Um, when Tupac went to death row, well, we could deal. We got to go before that. We got to go before Tupac. Go before Tupac came to death row. If you remember, there's a video out of Tupac, Snoop, Warren G, Biggie, the Dog Pound, everybody, and they were at a club in Hollywood. And on this particular video, you see everybody doing their thing. And this is the reason why I was telling people in regards to, before Biggie was even known, how Tupac used to look after Biggie and look out for him. In that video right there, Tupac had already done Juice. He had already done, his first album and so on and so forth. And so that kind of, proved the point of what Tupac was always saying and why he was so mad when the situation happened at Quad Studios. But more importantly, you see in that video, you see Snoop and everybody in that video, Tupac, everybody in that video. And you can see the camaraderie. You can see the brotherhood. You can see, everybody trying to Ken Intelligent, what's happening, Chicago in the building. You could see the love, you could see the respect, you could see just the nature of hip hop going on and doing what they were doing. Everybody was rapping, taking turns, grabbing the mic, and so on and so forth. And you could see that interaction was real and it was genuine, right? So you got to start there first. And at this particular time, I'm saying, from what I understand and what I see and I understand, is there was no jealousy. There was no jealousy on Snoop part. There was no jealousy on Daz part. Everybody was doing their thing. If there was to be some jealousy, it would have been at that particular moment there, because at that particular moment there, Tupac was on his 1-2. He was basically, he had done Juice, and like I said, he was known for the rapping and the acting at that particular time, and there was really no jealousy from there. You know what I mean? And so when you go take Tupac going to jail, coming home, all the different other situations, PKR, what's happening, KRT, what's happening. You have to understand that Tupac was already doing his thing. So when Daz made the statement in regards to we made Tupac, he's not talking about we made Tupac in the literal sense of making Tupac. Daz was talking about All Eyes on Me and how that album came about. I had Jay Flex on my podcast, as well as Jay Flex did an interview over on the Art of Dialogue. You can check that out. The entire interview, right? And when Tupac came home, you know, everybody kind of dropped what they were doing because, what's up, Tone? Because Tupac, the hype, the publicity, him being shot at Quad, what he had to say, and what he was gonna say, it was all of the hype. And not only that, Interscope wanted to get Tupac's album done because they understood the publicity that was behind everything so Tupac became a priority, not just because he was on death row, because you got to remember he wasn't signed to death row, right? Legally, he was still signed to Interscope. Interscope was more concerned about getting their money back, getting their investment back, the money that they had paid for the bail. So, there wasn't this big shift where, Suge was focusing more on Tupac than he was focusing more on anybody else. That came from Interscope. That came from the big boys. That came from just investing $1.3 million and giving a corporate guarantee on Tupac's bail and Tupac putting up his publishing and all of that. That's business. So a lot of people, you got to understand where all of this comes from, right? So how do you get this album done, right? Jay Flex told y'all they was in the studio over at Dr. Dre's house, and he also mentioned this, on my podcast. Jay Flex said, who's a friend of mine, they were over at Dr. Dre's house. They were already making California Love, if you will. And so by them making California Love, Tupac came home. And then when Tupac came home, they threw Tupac on the song on California Love, which was supposed to be for Dr. Dre's album, right? Nobody felt any kind of way. I asked Jay Flex, was there any kind of jealousy? He was there. He wrote Dr. Dre's verse, right? Like I said, you can go and look at that interview on my page, the interview that I did with Jay Flex. He wrote Dr. Dre's verse on California Love, as well as a bunch of other stuff that Dr. Dre did, the been there, done that, and all of that, right? And I asked him, was there any, jealousy or anything like that? And Jay Flex said no. And he was right there in the studio. Like I said, one of the people who actually was in there and contributed to California Love. Now, talk about jealousy. I say no. I say, everybody has their own interpretation, right? And so now you talk about jealousy. Now you got to go and for what we can see, not for what nobody's telling us, right? For what we can see. Now you go to, before we understand what all of the rest of the album is, and like Daz had produced like 4 or 5 songs on the record, right? And so then you go to California Love, the video shoot, right? Go to the California video shoot. Look at the footage. Look at Tupac interacting next to Dr. Dre. Look at Dre producing that record. And you got to understand, if Tupac is going to blow, right? Then Dre's going to blow. Not that Dre needed to blow. You got to understand, Dre came from NWA. You know what I mean? So there was really no, so, and like I said, in NWA, when you think about that, Dre was successful before all of that. Even though he wasn't getting the money that he was supposed to be getting at that particular time, we come to know later. But Dre was getting his own money, so I don't see Dre being jealous, because Dre was already doing this thing in Platinum Plus with NWA. So when you understand that, you got to understand, I'm talking about what you can see, not what somebody's telling you, right? Okay, now go watch the the making of California Love. And you'll see Dr. Dre and Tupac interacting. Everybody is getting along. Everybody's cool. You know, everybody's laughing, joking. Tupac counting the money, and so on and so forth. Right? Okay. So now you got. I'm just talking about what you can see. I mean, everybody. There's a emotion of jealousy. Jealousy to what extent? This is what Suge is saying, right? Okay, cool. So now, if there's jealousy going on from Daz's perspective, right? Here is you go to listen to Gangsta Party, and you hear Tupac in the beginning of the song. He's saying, you know, yeah, Daz, why you acting like that? Let me hit that. Talk. I guess they was doing a little 1-2 in the studio. And you know, when you listen to the albums that Daz what is that? I Ain't Mad at You. Um the uh the one with a Scandalous with Nate Dogg. Like you had everybody on that record. So I can't see from that perspective, you know, yeah, Got My Mind Made Up, all of those records, man. They stopped everything so that Tupac can do what he needed to do. Like I said, that was a business decision from Interscope, from Jimmy Iovine, from Warner Brothers, right? Kevin Robinson was happening. So what Daz is saying, Daz is not saying that, yo, we made Tupac. No, he's not saying that. But if you do listen to the record, Daz got some key points. And what he's saying is that Tupac rap style changed when he went over on Death Row. And Tupac was able to do that because Tupac was a chameleon. He was the type of person that could go in any situation and adapt. From moving from Baltimore, right, to New York, to Oakland, and then coming to LA later on in his career, right? Every situation that Tupac was in and where he moved in, he adapted to every situation. So now you take Tupac coming off of Me Against the World, and then he goes over to Death Row. He's coming out on Death Row. He understands the temperature. He understands, okay, this publicity. He understands exactly what he needs to do. And he said that much in the album. He said, Suge, on the joint that DJ Quick produced, I told you I was going to be digging into these niggas' chests, right? You know what I mean? In the hearts of men, right? Tupac came to put it down and do what he needed to do. So now, anytime at the time when we was at the Chris Tucker after party, right? Dr. Dre was there. It was a bunch of people there. Richie Rich, Rapping Forte, you know, and this was the Dr. Dre. This was the night that when me and Dr. Dre walked out the back door that the shooting and stuff started, right? And so at that party, there was nothing but real interaction. And you heard Dr. Dre, he never expressed any jealousy towards Tupac verbally, even after Tupac said all of the stuff that he said about him, saying that he was, you know, gay and all of this other, all of these acting. You never heard Dre say not one negative thing about Tupac. After Pac said all of those things in which nobody has really truly honestly proven up until this point. Let's be clear. Right? So when we delve into the facts of the matter, Dr. Dre that night, it was all love. Everybody was cool. Everybody was cordial, and so on and so forth. Now I want you to think about something. Where does the jealousy come in at? Tupac felt like this. Tupac demanded loyalty, right? And I can understand that because, you know, just talking to him, being around him, he demanded a certain amount of loyalty, right? But what Tupac didn't understand is that there was a code of ethics in California, especially in Southern California, how people get down. And when we talk about the situation involving the street situation, Snoop and them doing what they doing, Suge and them doing what they doing, and this is quite evident, right? But more importantly, in joining Death Row, there were two sides. Everybody know. And so with that being said, yeah, the street politics. And with that being said, Snoop and them was gonna stay with what they understood and what they knew and what they respected. Suge and them was gonna do the same. When Tupac came to Death Row, Tupac had a situation already in dealing with Puffy and Biggie and the disenchantment that they had, right? And Tupac felt like Snoop and them was supposed to adopt Puffy, Biggie, and all of them, was Snoop in particular, as their enemies also. And that just doesn't work that way. And so people are gonna feel a certain kind of way and say, well, yeah, I need you to not like them because I don't like them. That's not the way men think. And respectfully so, everybody does not work like that. What's up, Marlon Dillard? You know? And right, absolutely, Miss Matthews. And so, like I said, so when Tupac, and this is one of the reasons why Tupac got killed, right? Because Tupac, when he ran over there to touch on Orlando, right? You were not, that wasn't music industry no more. That was you stepping into a world that had nothing to do with Tupac. That situation had nothing to do with Tupac. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, now it escalated something, and even there was an interview in where Suge told Tupac. Suge say he told Tupac, and you can go. It's on one of my videos, and I took the verbatim the actual article that Suge told Tupac. After he rushed Orlando, that now now you started and you stepped into some gangster shit is what he said, right? You crossed over into some gangster shit from the music industry. Think about that for a minute. You know what I mean? So like I said, once again, for all intents and purposes, you go back to the beginning with Snoop, Tupac, Biggie, and all of them at that party, right? Everything is cool. This is some music industry stuff. They together, everybody freestyling, having a good time. Now you go some years later down the line, and then you say to yourself, you like, yo, now Tupac on death row, and now he's saying what he's saying and all of the things, and now he's kind of adopt this mentality, and where he comes into the situation. And even Tupac's father, when I interviewed him, this loyalty thing, and rightfully so, Tupac could do whatever he wanted at that particular time. But like I said, in Las Vegas, that wasn't any more music industry stuff. That wasn't producing records no more. That wasn't doing none of those things. And it had escalated to that point where now people taking things personal, people saying things they shouldn't. You know what I mean? And so that was the thing that led to that. So when we talk about jealousy, though, I didn't see it. I didn't see it. Like I said, once again, you go and you take the situation with Dr. Dre. Dre's never said anything bad about Tupac after Tupac said all of those negative things about him, right? Now, you got to go with being smart. Okay, Snoop, he's still here. All of the Daz, Corrupt, everybody who understood what was really going on, they separated themselves from that situation. Dr. Dre left. Remember, they say, oh, Dre left. Dre was stupid. He got punked. He was this, that, and the other. No. Dr. Dre's living where he's living at and living how he's living now, and was considered to be one of the first hip-hop billionaires because of being strategic and making the right moves and being able to identify the bullshit and get away from it. You understand what I'm saying? You can run to the fire or you can run away from the fire. People using their ego and thinking with their ego, they're going to try to run to the fire and yelling and screaming, But like I said, think about it. Dr. Dre had been shot before, right? As well as Tupac had been shot before, So you got to understand, either you're going to learn like, what, I'm good. I can go to my house. I can, record music in my house. Like I said, once again, Dr. Dre was recording. He had went to his house and started to record. He wasn't going to the studio no more. Right? You understand what I'm saying? When Tupac got out of jail, Dr. Dre was now recording at his house. They were doing California Love at his house. Jay Flex confirmed that because Jay Flex wrote Dr. Dre's verse. He confirmed it on my channel. Like I said, once again. So when you understand that, we're not talking about what people saying, how people feeling, the vibe and so on and so forth, right? You're dealing with men. And so, rightfully so, just like Suge Knight could say, free Keefy D, like I said the last time, free Keefy D, it was Snoop Dogg's right to be okay with Puffy if he wanted to. Just like the Outlaws and Edie and Nobleman, and they did a song with Little C's, it was their right to do that. You understand what I'm saying? It was their right to go and say, you know what, man, let's put the bullshit behind us and let's keep moving on. You know what I mean? We've lost enough people, because of something frivolous. Like, I still ask everybody, like, what did Tupac die for? Because everybody seemed like they cool now, or kind of can get along from that perspective, right? So what did Tupac die for? For whispering somebody's ear? For what? And all intents and purposes, everybody say, well, Tupac wasn't in no gang. Then what he died for? No, I'm not talking about that, Tom. I'm not talking about somebody putting a hit on Tupac. I'm talking about the actual, when the Tupac made the action that he made at the MGM Grand, what was that about? I'm talking about somebody allegedly said something in Tupac's ear, right? Okay, did that actually have anything to do with Tupac? No. At that particular time, Tupac didn't even know who Orlando Anderson was. From all understanding, right? Like I said, of course, everybody was there for a reason. Orlando was there for a reason, of course. But you're going to put this conspiracy theorist thing on it, like, oh yeah, it was there and he was there and it was set up, the government and every man. Look, we're not dealing with that. If you can't show me the information that you have in regards to anything like that, and I could sit here and probably come up with the most elaborate story that you possibly can think of, right? And then sitting next to what I just sat down and came up with and debunk every part of it. We're not dealing with that. I'm talking about a person's actions. Tupac was trying to show his loyalty because Tupac demanded the same kind of loyalty. I understand that for what that really truly honestly is, right? But at the end of the day, what did Tupac die for? Because if it started in Lakewood at the Lakewood Mall over a chain, then it was over a chain, right? I mean, let's be clear. What boys, PKR? What you talking about? What boys? I want you to understand something because people lose this, man. Tupac was on death row for approximately 11 months, right? The people that he had met, and because he was, over there masquerading under death row, you could call them whatever you wanted to call them from that perspective. And like I said, they knew what they meant to each other. I can't comment on that, right? But what I'm saying is, when you say they boys, I'm trying to understand what you're saying, PKR. Well, like I said, everybody was playing their position. The people who knew Suge prior to Tupac coming over to death row. And like I said, once again, we already dealt with the security issue. You know what I mean? I think all of those guys over there dealing with Suge, they loved Tupac and they had Tupac's back. There's no doubt about that, right? But what was Tupac's reason for masquerading under death row? It was business. And you cannot mix business with personal affairs. The combination just doesn't bode well at the end, right? It's like, under the business sense, you let somebody borrow some money, business wise, and y'all got a personal relationship. That's why a lot of people fall out, because now they're looking at your personal relationship and judging it on a personal perspective instead of thinking that they owe you money. Like, oh man, you ain't gonna need that money, man. Man, I thought you was my boy. No, I'm running a business. And like I said, as hard as that is to understand, a lot of people are not able to differentiate that. Yeah, intelligent. That probably was part of the reason. If you want to, from that perspective. Now, I would think that would have been more of a thing than anybody being jealous of anybody. When Suge and Michelle A started messing with each other, I would think that, and from what I understand, that started more friction than it was anything, right? For a fact, that's your man, your business partner, and all of a sudden, not that you couldn't mess with her, but out of all of the people that you could mess with, you chose to mess with her, Michelle A. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of nuances, man, on why things went the way they were. But like I said, from what Daz was saying, being jealous of Tupac, I mean, I'm gonna take it from the horse's mouth. People don't want to give Daz his credit. Daz produced 4 or 5 albums on that record, man. You know what I mean? And everybody was cool. I never heard Tupac express anything about, Daz and the Dog Pound and them being anything from that. Yeah. I've never heard that. And so, like I said, I hear other people saying that now, but back then I never heard Tupac really say that. You know what I mean? I know Tupac was, from what I understood, he was upset in regards to the situation in New York. But then after that situation, Michael Moore had said that Suge and Tupac had got into it in the hotel, and Tupac told Suge, "I'm done. After I finish this Machiavelli album, I'm done with Death Row." That's what Michael Moore said. He heard. He was right there with him. Why did they go? Yeah, like I said, Lalo, yeah, he like I said, when you we dealing with the facts, man, not what people saying. Daz produced one of the greatest, helped produce one of the greatest hip hop records of all time, double record of all time. I can't see him being mad. Like I said, people could say, why was Snoop mad at Tupac? Why was Snoop jealous of Tupac? He came over there and they did Gangsta Party together, as well as other records that they did together. If you jealous of somebody and you mad at somebody, you know what I mean? That other friction that was there, that street thing that Dr. Dre, the reason why Dr. Dre said why he left the violence and all of that and this, that, and the other, that was one of the reasons why Dre said he left Death Row. He got tired of the bullshit, is what he said, right? So from that perspective, when you understand that, there were various reasons why different people felt like they should move on and move in a different direction. You got to respect that. Well, think about it. Well, why did Tupac, California Dreamer, why did Tupac want his masters? You got to ask yourself that question, right? And then Suge said that that Reggie gave Warner Brothers and Interscope the masters to other records that he wasn't supposed to, that Tupac appeared on, which wasn't Tupac records. Tupac was actually a guest artist on those records. So why did Tupac want his masters when he fired David Kenner and he fired Reggie Wright on the same day? Why did Tupac want his masters? Like I said, I'm waiting for y'all, you to give me the answer to that question. Why? Right? Why did Tupac want his masters? Because Tupac was ready to go. Simple. Tupac knew, in fact, that he was not signed to Death Row. That's why he wanted his masters, and that's why he could ask for his masters. Well, I think Tupac as well was a grown man and he made his own decisions. And Tupac was where he was. Everything happened for a reason. I'm not, you can't blame one person or the other. Like I said, everybody played the role that they played in that. Right. The masters and the audit. Why did Tupac want his masters in the audit? They saying why, they asking why Daz allegedly stole his masters. Daz said why he took the masters. No, Daz leaked the music that belonged to him. The music that he produced. Absolutely. Warren G, like I said, and a lot of people got the Warren G thing when Warren said that. Warren wasn't talking about, yo, he heard what was going on at the time Tupac was being shot. He's saying basically that they were in communication with Snoop, and he overheard some of the communication with them letting them know that something had happened to Tupac and Tupac had been shot. It's just simple. Propane Oak Lane, what's happening? California Dreaming. The 1804 show, what's happening? Like I said, the 1804 show, Daz wasn't talking about he made Tupac from that perspective. Daz was talking about when Tupac came to death row, it was nothing but open arms. Remember, listen to this. When Tupac rapped on Two of America's Most Wanted, what did Tupac say? I mean, I'm sorry, what did Snoop Dogg say? When Snoop rapped on Two of America's Most Wanted, what did he say? Snoop Dogg say, free Tupac, that's all that's on the nigga's mind. Because at the same time, I think they're trying to take mine. Did he not say that? That's when Tupac alive. That's how he personally felt. Not only did he feel that way, but he put it in a song for eternity. Oh, I don't claim to be around like Mutai. I didn't need to be around like Mutai. But like I said, when I was around Tupac when Dre was there and all of that, there was no animosity. That's all I'm telling you. I'm not trying to refute what Mutai said. Like I said, I have nothing but respect for Mutai. This is not what this is about. This is about what I seen with my own eyes. And when I talked to Jay Flex, when I was down at Record One, when I was around Tupac and we talked, like I said, this is what I seen. So I didn't have to be around like Mutai. I didn't have to, do none of those things. So, at the end of the day, you can stop with that one. That ain't gonna work, California Dream. That ain't gonna work. I got nothing but respect for Napoleon. So, well, like I said, once again, Miss Matthews, I respectfully agree and disagree on that one. I think Tupac knew what he was getting into, right? I think Tupac fully accepted, what it was that was going on at that particular time. And he bought into it. And like I said, once again, what happened. I think that when at the MGM Grand, I don't think that had anything to do with Tupac. So if it was true that somebody whispered into Tupac's ear, I don't think that should have happened because it didn't have nothing to do with him. I think Tupac once again should have been protected more than he was protected in Vegas. I think that was below Tupac's level. Period. Point blank. Any of that activity was below him. But once again, Tupac chose to act on what was told to him, right? And the consequences were what they were. So, man, like I said, once again, the whole situation, the protocol, how it went down, the security, it was, like I said, once again, when you're dealing with that type of artist on Tupac's level at that particular time, riding in the car with the CEO, it's a lot of things that shouldn't have happened that night, man. Very seldom do you see the CEO riding in the car with the artist, in the front seat with the windows down. Usually it's like a black van or a limo or some kind of, yeah, absolutely. Grown men, they make their own decisions. And we all must live with the decisions that we make. You know what I mean? Good, bad, or indifferent. Well, Tupac was his own artist, period. I mean, I wouldn't even say on death row. Tupac was a master in acting, music, writing, all of those things. He was just more than just a music artist. Like I said, Mr. Garland, like I said, you go look at the interview on All the Dialogue that I did. Mr. Garland did talk about Keefe D being a pawn, right? But I gave the assessment on that. Keefe D being a pawn from that perspective. Explain your perspective on that. Like I said, what Mr. Garland said is his personal feelings, and I respect that. Explain when you say he's a pawn, what do you mean? I mean, I think that's more important. His father saying that is something different. It encompasses a whole different thing. You know what I mean? But when I say, yo, Keefy D being a pawn, and his father talking about uh the government being involved, he was speaking on, more of the fact that the government gave Keefy D a deal, a proffer agreement, basically immunity for giving up all the information on Tupac. When he's saying that the government is involved, he means from that perspective. Official boy Doom, no whammies. Brandon Carter, what's up? Welcome, y'all. Visionary, what's up? Big John Casey, what's happening? Thank y'all for tuning in, man. Well, once again, like I say, Death Row East was just t-shirts, man. Like I said, that was something Tupac could have lended. Like I said, once again, Tupac had a deal over there at Warner Brothers, right? For $80 million. After, remember, he's dealing with Kadada. Quincy got the relationship with Warner Brothers over there, Warner Brothers TV, the Fresh Prince, all of that was done under Warner Brothers, right? Right. So now, Tupac ready to leave Death Row. He want the audit. He want his masters. And he ready to go. Yeah. So, a lot of people didn't know that. And then Tupac was going to be able to do his own movies. He was going to be able to do all of his books. He was going to do books. He was going to do movies, music, the whole 9 yards. And he would have been fully, he would have had his own situation where he had the platform to do all of those things. That's a fact. Like I said, once again, when I showed everybody Tupac's the bail agreement, like I said, for years and years and years and years and years, everybody was saying, yo, Suge bailed out Tupac. And like I said, if it was not for Suge Knight, Tupac would have not got out of jail like he did from that perspective. Everything else that happened was part of what happened. You know what I mean? But a lot of people say, oh, Suge bailed him out. Suge bailed Tupac out and this, that. I showed you guys the contract over on the Art of Dialogue in which that wasn't true. That's when Reggie Wright Jr. began to try to attack me and call me all kinds of names. Because once again, he had been claiming to run Death Row. And my thing is, if you ran Death Row, then you would have known that Tupac wasn't legally signed to Death Row. But Reggie didn't run Death Row like that. He didn't have that kind of information. He was not privy to that information. A lot of people weren't. Even Tupac's mother wasn't privy to that information, because if she was, she wouldn't have sued Death Row. She would have just went over there and knocked on the doors of Interscope and said, you know what, I seen the contract that my son did with y'all, and we need to sit down and talk. And that was ultimately what happened after she sued Death Row from that perspective. But like I said, one thing that people don't understand that Suge did kind of solidify for Tupac in signing that written contract was the fact that Jimmy Iovine and Interscope actually did give Tupac that bump in royalties and the bump in points that Suge had him agree to on that piece of paper. So a lot of people don't understand that was one of the things that Suge did do in him signing that handwritten contract. Afeni got Jimmy Iovine and them to agree to that and to uphold that part of the contract. That was one of the things that Suge did do. Yeah, Achilles. I mean, like I said, what happened. Everybody doesn't know what happened. Because I don't speak for everybody. Like I said, I'm just trying to speak facts. You know. Yeah, I don't try to speak to, when people say, man, everybody know about that. Everybody know about what? Everybody don't know. I think that's the common misstatement that people, man, everybody know about that. No, everybody don't know about it because everybody not interested in that. You know what I mean? You got some people just interested in straight out conspiracy theories and things that they think that they know and they'd have heard somebody else repeat. So when you say everybody know about that, everybody don't know about that. Russell Poole didn't solve both crimes. Stop it, man. Russell Poole didn't solve both crimes. I met Russell Poole, and as you can go on my channel and see the video that I did, I'll put the picture up with me and Russell Poole when I was going downtown to the federal court building, fighting a copyright case, right? And so Russell Poole was one of the police officers that that pat you down when you come into the federal court building. You put your keys and all of your phone all in that little plastic thing. They send it through the metal detector and all of that. Russell Poole was one of those guys. And when I told him that I knew Tupac, he was a friend of mine, and the first thing Russell Poole said to me was, Suge Knight had Tupac killed. I'm like, what? Yeah, Suge Knight. Russell Poole had a bunch of theories, man. And then at the end of, before Russell Poole passed away, he then in turn, because I told him, I was like, you don't know what you're talking about. I mean, like I said, once again, the common denominator was, why would Suge do something like that? Suge be in the driver's side of the car. Come on. Everybody has these theories, man, that, I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Look, like I said, once again, when we talk about that, we sit back and we talking about that. Russell Poole, before he passed away, ultimately apologized. I don't think to Suge, but he apologized and said he wanted to apologize to Suge about saying that Suge had something to do with the death of Tupac Shakur. And that's a fact. Y'all can go look that one up. You see what I'm saying? So like I said, once again, when you talk about that, when you mention things like that, like I said, there's evidence and information coming from the horse's mouth out there to contradict a lot of these wild theories. Yeah, that's what Keefy D said, that Puffy told him that he was scared, and that's why he wanted to get something done to Suge and Tupac, you know, from that perspective. Yeah, I mean, like I said, look, man, the shortest length between 2 points is a straight line. We can make all of these crooked lines, and you know, you look on the paper like, where's that going? But like I say, at the end of the day, one thing led to another, and if you go back and you think about everything that happened, you look what happened, you look at who Orlando was, where he came from, you look at what Suge and them, who they were, where they came from. Like I said, that wasn't Tupac's beef, man. That wasn't Tupac's beef. That had nothing to do with Tupac. Tupac took it upon himself, just like Tupac's father said when I asked him. You know, he said his son, you know, Tupac was like that. He said we like that. And Tupac was trying to show his loyalty and show, you know, the guys that he was hanging with, you know, that he was, you know, down for them like they were down for him. And it just went the wrong way. Simple. Yeah. It's that simple. I mean, like I said, we've seen people die for less. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, it was somebody at the stature of Tupac Shakur. I mean, I just wish, me personally, that if everybody was thinking along the lines on doing their job, Reggie Wright Jr., his security company, instead of trying to just, um, I don't know, masquerading as security. And, you know, like I said, he was fired. Reggie was fired. He still don't want to admit that he was fired after all of these years, after the facts came out. If he would just admit that, hey, you know what? I didn't do my job that night. I dropped the ball. You know what I mean? I was insubordinate. Reggie was insubordinate that night. He pulled the security off of Tupac. He didn't want none of his security to be on Tupac. That's the reason why Frank Alexander was the only one on Tupac, because Tupac told Frank from Frank's own mouth that, yo, you going with me when I leave Death Row. And Frank already had said that. That you can hear that on from Frank's own mouth on the internet. You know what I mean? Yeah, Reggie was fired. You know that, Miss Matthews, absolutely. Yeah, everybody was young. Everybody was young and doing their own thing and thinking how they thought at that particular time. You know what I mean? But I just think, as smart and as intelligent as Tupac was, you know, um, you know, why, because like I said, he had think about it. Tupac had alienated his old manager, who was a former Black Panther, right? When he left Death Row, and they was trying to tell him, yo, what are you doing? You know what I mean? All of the people that Tupac had around him that could give him the advice that he needed, Tupac alienated when he went over there masquerading under death row. You know, and all of them, like even the lawyers, Miss Charles Ogletree, all of these people who were there in Tupac's corner tried to warn him and say, you know, hey man, what are you doing? You know, and he went over there and like I said, all of the people that loved him, that really cared for him from that perspective, like when he went over there, that was it. But like I said, the jealousy thing, man, you know, I never seen that. Like I said, I talked to Jay Flex when Tupac got out of jail. That was at Dre's house recording California Love. Tupac came through. It was all love. Tupac, and another thing, Tupac had said it himself. Like, dude, he said when he ran into Dr. Dre, when he finally got met Dr. Dre, how he felt about him. He was like, Dr. Dre, he was like, I've been waiting for this moment. I don't, you know what I mean? And like I say, me being around Dr. Dre and seeing Dre work and how Dre works, man, ain't no animosity, man. They ain't doing all of that, man. He trying to come out, he trying to bang out hits. You see the albums that Dre put out, like usually you got what? You got 50, you got The Game, you got Chronic 2001. I mean, Dre put out masterpieces. You know what I mean? That first album, The Aftermath, was all right. Like I said, that did 1 million units, but that was considered a failure based on the numbers that they had used to been doing over there at Interscope, dealing with Dre and dealing with Aftermath. Then he came with Eminem. You understand what I'm saying? So you gotta, when you talk, yeah, like, hey, right. But Dre always had help though. But Dre can produce, Dre can play instruments, Dre can do all of that. You can go on the internet and see that. That's why they call him doctor, because the doctor always has assistants, nurses, other doctors around him to be able to come to save that thing and make that thing what it was. Remember when he did the DOC's album, right? What did DOC say Dr. Dre had? He had the formula. And so with that being said, I mean, like I said, I know, like, even when I was down there at Record One, when I seen Dre work, like I said, he had other younger producers, working, had them in apartments and things like that. Everybody, doing what they needed to do to be able to make this thing come to fruition. You know what I mean? But like I say, at the end of the day, when you do hear it, it's a masterpiece. And I think it's up for each and every artist. My man, like I'm gonna give you like this. My man, Richard Vick, right? They call him Drama. I'm gonna try to get Drama on my podcast, right? On my YouTube channel. He wrote the No Diggity verse for Dre. Most of y'all don't even know who he is. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I know what was going on. I'm not gonna discount Dre for none of that. Like I said, once again, think about it. Dr. Dre coming from NWA, having that fame, Suge doing what he did to get Dre off of there, and them linking up and doing what they did, and then linking up with Snoop Dogg, and then coming up with, the Dog Pound and Daz and them and all them being around. That's what made everybody famous. It was one hand helped the other. Think about it. Nobody did none of this on their own. Tupac didn't do it on his own. It was one hand helped the other, right? And so, like I said, if somebody is due their writer credit, their publishing credit, because they wasn't credited, and they demanding that, like Daz say, he want his cut from Jay-Z or whatever. Okay, cool. I think he should get that. No, I don't get. Like I said, Miss Matthews, I'm just speaking facts. I'm not giving credit. I'm just speaking facts. What part am I wrong? You got to understand, like I say, Dr. Dre was Dr. Dre. When Dre was with NWA, Dre was making all them beats. Right? But Dr. Dre understood something later on. He was like, yo, I don't have to do all of this. I could get younger, hotter producers, right? And like I said, to be able to negotiate your stance, what you want in your contract, just like Dre got taken advantage of, or felt like he got taken advantage of with Ruthless, right? He then later got his mojo back and came back and got his own company. Boom. And look where he at now. I mean, these are facts. What do you mean? How does that work? Yeah, him and DOC. You know what I'm saying? So what am I giving somebody too much credit for? When Dre was with NWA, Dre was doing all those beats. Period. And they were selling millions of records. Eazy-E said that. Ice Cube said that. See, we forget about that. Like I said, when people they want to focus. Yeah, and Cube wrote the rhymes. Absolutely. Even for Dre at that particular time, even for Eazy at that time, Cube was writing the rhymes for everybody. What like Eric Sermon was doing? What are you talking about? Man, people just be coming up. People be trying to impute people's name and groups in the conversation. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about jealousy. We're talking about producing. We're talking about the situation. Let me tell you like this. Let me give it to you like this. If it was not for Dr. Dre, there is no Death Row. How many of y'all agree with that? If it was not for Dr. Dre, there would be no Death Row. Period. Right. It's simple. So when we talk about, somebody say, well, giving Dr. Dre too much credit. If it's not for Dre having the success with NWA, there is no Death Row as we know it today. There is no Tupac joining. There is no Snoop Dogg joining. There is no Daz in the Dog Pound. There is none of that as we know it today. I ain't talking about hypotheticals and, maybe if no. I'm talking about everything that we know today. If it's not for Dr. Dre, there is no Death Row. There is no Snoop Dogg like we know it today. Period. Everybody can tell you, yeah, I would have been a star anyway. Not to the level that you'd have been a star now. Not with what's going on right now. That wouldn't have happened. So I can't see Dr. Dre now all of a sudden Tupac coming to Death Row and now Dr. Dre jealous. Dr. Dre had already separated himself. He was already at his own house recording. Isn't there a story that Suge went to Dr. Dre's house and Dr. Dre allegedly called the police? Right? Ain't that a story that they've been running with? Right? Absolutely, visionary. Absolutely, period. Isn't there a story out about when Dre was doing California Love? Like I said, Jay Flex talked about it on my channel, right? He was at the house when Suge came over the house. And they were recording California Love. He was talking about how Roger Troutman came on over there and had the little voice box machine and spit kept coming out and the whole 9 yards. He also did the interview over on the Art of Dialogue. Go check it out. These are people that were there. Right? Absolutely. Absolutely. But like I said, Dre was his own man and Dre had the opportunity to make that decision. That's why I'm saying when most people talk about Dr. Dre, they not going back and understanding like, look, if it was not for Dre, even Jimmy Iovine said it when they came over there to try to get a deal. Jimmy Iovine said the reason why he did the deal with Death Row was because of this guy, Dr. Dre, and Dr. Dre's success over there with Ruthless under Priority. It's plain and simple. And even when the situation kicked off between Eazy and Dr. Dre, Jimmy Iovine went over there and made the deal, and where Eazy would get 20 a quarter off of every album that Dr. Dre sold. Jimmy Iovine did that. Why? Because he had the power to do it and the infrastructure to be able to do it and dealing with the people that he was dealing with at that time. So what about him wanting him not wanting Pac on death row? Who didn't want Tupac on death row? It wasn't Jimmy Iovine's job to protect Tupac. Tupac was a grown man. Remember, they told you the story about how Interscope left Tupac in jail. That story is not true. Tupac went to jail, and when he went to jail, he did not have a bail because they put up for a appeal right after he was sentenced. And in them putting up the appeal, the judge in Tupac case denied the appeal. So therefore, Tupac had to go to jail, which he did. And then they put up the money to appeal the case. Remember, Interscope, this is what people don't know. Interscope had gave, minus paying the bail, Interscope had gave Tupac over $800,000 while he was in jail. Remember, when he was in jail, he also got sued by the young lady who said he did what he didn't do in New York. People don't even talk about that he got sued. A civil case was filed against Tupac by Ayanna Jackson, in which Tupac settled that case for a couple $100,000. Where did Tupac get the money from? He was in jail. Interscope gave him the money, y'all. You see what I'm saying? So when Tupac went, Miss Matthews, so when Tupac when he went to jail, he had to go to jail. They appealed the case. He won the appeal. Then that's when they came and bailed him out with the 1.4 million, using Suge as the liaison to come over there and to masquerade it like he was under death row. And it worked. It worked to the tune of, 10 million records. So when people say that, like I said, once again, but if you don't really understand that, Miss Matthews, what most people don't really understand that because they've been listening to all of the garbage, right? You know what I mean? People wanting to be people's friends and people not wanting to say something what seems like against somebody. And like I said, you do not take nothing away from Suge Knight. Like I said, Suge Knight and Dr. Dre at that time was a match made in heaven, man. And they created magic until they didn't. So it wasn't Jimmy Iovine didn't look out for Tupac. Tupac was a grown man. They bailed him out to the tune of 1.4 million, even though Tupac put up his royalties and his record company as collateral, right? Tupac was supposed to come out, handle his business, knock them 3 records out, and be done, and not involve himself in any kind of nefarious behavior. Period. Jimmy Iovine told you he hated Pac, the Cali way. I'm talking about what they did. I'm talking about when you look at the paperwork, what was signed, names signed on contracts and things like that. That's not somebody who hates somebody. That's somebody who sees the potential and keep believing in you and putting up their money where their mouth is. Like you say, all of the other people that, said that they love Tupac and this, that, and the other, where were they at with the money? Where were they at with the 1.4? Because he couldn't put up no house because if Tupac had a cash bail. Yeah, Harry O, like I said, if it wasn't for Harry O, things wouldn't have moved forward like they did. You can't, like I said, once again, everything that happened during that particular time, you can't change nothing about that to equal what it is today. You know what I mean? Every turn that was supposed to be made was made. Every T that was supposed to be T was crossed. Every I it was dotted. And like I say, that's why history was made. That's why you have the documentaries, the stories, and all of the things that you have today. Like I said, and I appreciate that. But when we talk about the situation as far as what Suge saying in regards to, the jealousy, and his perception, Suge's perception is his perception. I'm not trying to get nobody. I'm just saying what I saw. You know what I mean? And when I talked to and been around Dr. Dre and been around Jay Flex, and I was around back during those times we down record when Dre left Death Row and the whole 9 yards. Tupac wasn't on Dr. Dre's mind. Dr. Dre was trying to work. You understand? Dr. Dre was trying to make a hit. Like I said, people forget when Dr. Dre left Death Row, they saying Dr. Dre left with nothing. Jimmy Iovine gave Dr. Dre money. Jimmy Iovine controlled all the purse strings. As you seen that when Tupac died, how Death Row crumbled. Who stepped up when Tupac's mother wanted to get paid? Jimmy Iovine stepped up, put $3 million in her pocket, and guaranteed everything else. Why? Because they had the power of attorney at that particular time. I showed you the contract. A lot of the stuff that y'all thinking, you shouldn't even be still thinking, because I gave you the information. I gave you the contract with Tupac, Warner Brothers, and Interscope signature on it. Right? It's simple, right. Intelligence, it's in black and white. Like I said, I don't know what people are looking for from that perspective. And when we talk about just the facts of the matter, the straight game, that's it. You know, absolutely. T.L. Garrett, you see it. There it is right there. Acceptable by the corporation in the amount of $850,000. That's a corporate guarantee. That's as good as cash. Is Mutai lying about what? Yeah, it was ego, you know what I mean? You know, believing you stronger than somebody because you got more money than them. You know, it was all of that. Well, like I said, somebody feeling animosity and being jealous of somebody, I don't think there was any room for being jealous. I think everybody was trying to eat and get their check. And like I said, with Tupac coming over to Death Row, that made Death Row stronger. That made each and everybody's project that much more great, the focus, everything. As you seen, man, when they was over there doing the Death Row thing, no record company had came out and sold that many platinum and gold records back to back, and they still haven't done it. Well, like I said, if Mutai felt some kind of jealousy or whatever, I'm not going to say that it wasn't. That was his feeling. That was his interpretation of it. I'm saying the people that I talked to, from the perspective that I talked to and what I saw, I didn't see that. When I talked to Jay Flex, he didn't see that. You know what I mean? Yeah, like I said, once again, everybody can say that they saw jealousy, they felt whatever. Like I said, but everybody was on the record. So I can't see how the action of what Snoop said, you know, free Tupac, that's all that's on the niggas' mind. Because at the same time, they seem they're trying to take mine. He's saying this on the record. So now he's harboring deep jealousy while he's saying that. Right. You know what I mean? No, Dre don't have poor work ethic. Dre is a perfectionist. I mean, now you might not be into listening to the mix of the song, but I'll be when you listen to a Dre song, you hear everything. You know what I mean? And so, you know, he just wasn't throwing out, you know, like and that's the problem with music today. Listen to the music today, listen to the hip hop today, and just listen to the music from back in the day. And you got so many people now, they coming out, they ain't saying nothing. The quality of the music back then and the quality of the music today. So if you want to have that contrast, uh, uh, you can use it from that perspective. Yeah, it could have been jealousy over women. You know what I mean? I don't think there was jealousy over women. I think Snoop did admit that Tupac stole Sally Richardson from him. You know what I mean? And he was a little bit upset about that. But Snoop expressed that himself, though. Right. So I mean, you know, if that was, there's a lot of things. Like I said, once again, okay, let me give you this then. You know, since everybody's saying it was just, Snoop said that the time when he was going having some problems with his wife, you know, the good information that Tupac had gave him, that was between Snoop and Tupac. Snoop never had to share that in regards to that, but Snoop chose to share that with the public. Right. That ain't somebody who sound like they jealous of somebody. That's somebody telling people exactly what happened. Right. But everybody has their interpretation of what it is. and everybody has their right to the interpretation of what it is. You know what I mean? Well, like I said, if look, if you hanging out with anybody, man, and you feel like they jealous of you, or they might be envious of you, my recommendation is to stop hanging out with them. You know, so at the end of the day, but like I said, Snoop expressed that information that Tupac gave him after everybody else around him was giving him information to the contrary. Snoop said Tupac told him, man, marry that girl. She love you. You love her. She been with you. You been with her. And they married until this day. Yeah, I mean, like I said, you got everybody interpretation of what they saw. Like I said, everybody they was jealous about. Everybody was jealous. Like I said, once again, and that's their interpretation. I don't know what Snoop do with what anybody else. You know what I mean? I don't know nothing about that. I don't speak on stuff like that because I don't know nothing about that. What he doing and what he ain't doing. And like I said, when I see him and his wife together and birthday parties and things of that nature, they seem like they happy. They, made their daughter get well and all of those other good things, man. I don't get into all of that. No, I mean, like I say, Cali, where you seem to not have a filter. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't know what Snoop do with other people. All I see is what I see, from him and him dealing with his family, and it seems like everybody's all right, everybody's happy. I don't know about all that. You seem to know about that though, but I don't know anything about that. What basketball game was that? Well, I mean, where I rank doggy style, well, shit, doggy style is um I would say the quintessential album that really put the West Coast on the map. I mean, like when Snoop came out, it was phenomenal. It was crazy. Like I said, for all that people thought and what they understood about the West Coast, Snoop gave left there no doubt. Like I said, he made it cool to people want to come to California. People want to come to Long Beach and like, man, California, like, oh, it's really like that out there. You know what I mean? Miss Matthews. That's what I was trying to explain, right? I was trying to explain that. Um, certain people had relationships with certain people and certain groups of people, right? Prior to Tupac coming to death row, right? And that was street politics that had nothing to do with music. And so therefore, when you look at that from that perspective, you'll understand it. But once again, I'm not going to judge Snoop based on that because people are trying to like if they saying like if Snoop loved Tupac, he wouldn't have did this, he wouldn't have did that and this. If I don't hold those when you understand what was going on, the street politics and all of that behind that, you'll understand it. If you did not understand it or you did not get that, then you won't understand it. Everything's not for everybody. Everything's not for everybody to understand. And as a layperson, you can have your opinion, right? But it's just different. It's like when you go to jail. You know what I mean? If you go to jail in California, most of the people who know you go to jail, you're gonna be in this side on this module. This what it's gonna be right here. You're gonna be over here. You're gonna be doing this. This is what we're doing, and this how it goes down. It's just that simple. They're not gonna tell you about, yeah, because he was on death row and he did a record. That's not how that's gonna work. And you dealing with real life situations. It's not about what people think. Well, I think Natasha, if she did say anything about that, I think that came later. I don't think that came before because Dre expressed the fact that he did want Tupac on death row. He said that from his mouth. So I wouldn't go to the Natasha interview for that information. I would go to Dre's initial comments in regards to Tupac being on death row. It was a bunch of people on that mixtape, Tone. It was a bunch of people. So you might want to go look that up. So I don't think nobody, like I said once again, when who you cool with is who you cool with, and whatever happened, like I said, if you delve into really what happened, right? Um, you know, Snoop didn't do nothing to Tupac. Tupac didn't do nothing to Snoop, right? The relationships that Snoop had prior to Tupac coming to Death Row was the relationships that he had. Because Tupac came to Death Row didn't mean that Snoop had to abandon his relationships with people that he had relationships with and he was cool with. You know what I mean? Like I said, once again, for the average person who does not understand that, I can understand what they're talking about. I'll give you a prime example. That's just like if we talking about that, and well, the brother Edie and the brother Noble and them, they did something with Little C's and them, right? And it was their right to do that. If they wanted to make amends, that's their situation. They're grown ass men. They can make that decision. If Snoop wanted to do what he want, Snoop is a grown ass man. He can make that decision. If you wanted to do something that you want to do, that's your business. You a grown ass man. You can make that decision. That's up to you. Yeah, that you can't. I don't buy into that theory, man, where because I don't really like this person. You don't really like that person? Well, he ain't never disrespected me. You might owe him some money talking about you don't like him. Give you a prime example, man. Somebody owes somebody. You loan somebody some money, right? And the dude don't want to pay you. The dude just happened to know somebody else that you know, and he don't tell you that he owe that person money, but all he tell you about is, man, I don't deal with that dude. Ha, 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 ha. And he start running rumors and saying all of this, but trying to keep you away from old boy so that old boy don't tell you that, yeah, I loaned him $2,000 and he owed me money. See, he conveniently left that part out the conversation when he was trying to tell you. See, situations happen like that all the time, man. Right? So, like I said, it's up to the individual. Just like when Suge said free Keefy D. He said he wasn't saying free Keefy D from that perspective of free Keefy D. He was saying it because he didn't want to see no black man in jail, nobody in jail. For Suge saying that, okay. I know I don't understand that. You know what I mean? Just like people don't understand, they saying Snoop did the record with Big Dre and all of that, right? I don't understand Suge doing that, but he did it. I gotta respect that from what he's saying out of his mouth. That's what he want to say. I might not agree with it. I'm okay with that. Simple. I don't have no animosity and be like, oh man, I don't agree with Snoop and I don't do this. That's his business. You know what I mean? And a lot of people are making money talking about other people's business. Okay, cool. If that's what you want to do, you know what I mean? And so, like I said, when we sit down and we had these conversations, right? Right? When we had these conversations, right? Like I say, Dre wanted to produce Hit 'Em Up, but Dre was jealous of Tupac. See what I mean? Y'all got to make up your mind, man. Which one is it gonna be? Oh no, hold on now. Which one is it gonna be? Dre wanted to do your Cali way. Dre wanted to produce Hit 'Em Up. According to who? Who you heard that from? You know that from Dre, or you heard that from somebody else? Kareem Smith, what's happening? No, it's all about being creative, man. It's all about music. Now, nobody, Miss Matthews, nobody's saying that it makes it right. But it's not my job or your job to say that it's not right. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, people make the decisions that they make, and they got to live with the decisions that they make. It's that simple. But like I said, more importantly, I base my judgment off, like I said, Jay Flex, the people that I know being around Dr. Dre. Like I said, I've never heard him say one thing bad about Tupac, even after everything happened with the Death Row situation. Dre a lot of times wouldn't even speak on that. You know what I mean? Right. But I mean, we got to have it both ways. You saying somebody said something. He said Mutai said he was there when Dr. Dre asked Tupac to do it on California Love Set, right? Okay. But so now if Dre was jealous of Tupac, why is Dre asking to produce Hit 'Em Up? You got me confused. Yeah, you're right. You never heard anything about Tupac, right? Why? Because Dre ain't feeling no animosity. That why? Animosity for what? About money? Nah, I don't think it's about money from that perspective. Not somebody who at that particular time had owned half of Death Row. How was it about money? You act like Dr. Dre didn't get paid for California Love and still get paid for California Love. What you mean? I'm confused. How is it about money? Hey, Carla Shepherd, what's happening? I mean, like I said, everybody has, they would. So no, I was dealing with Cali Way because he keeps coming with these theories. One minute he's saying somebody saying something about somebody and they're jealous. Next minute, Dr. Dre asking Tupac and he produced Hit 'Em Up. And I'm saying, so if he was jealous, he wouldn't want to produce Hit 'Em Up now, would he? You can hate you got to speak for you, the Cali Way. You got to speak for you. You probably can hate somebody and still work with them for money. Everybody don't operate like that. See, that's what I'm saying. See, they try to make this thing applicable to everybody that they feel. Your feelings are not applicable to everybody. You may be able to hate somebody and work with them and do all of those things. Everybody does not operate under that same method of operation. Right. That's what I'm saying. Dre left because he left. He didn't. Man, it had nothing to do with none of that. Man, Dre was Dr. Dre with NWA before Death Row was even thought about. If it was not for Dr. Dre, like I said before, Death Row wouldn't be what we're talking about today. The reason that the deal happened with Interscope was because of Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine said so, based on the hits that Dr. Dre had been producing for Easy E over there and making all that money for Priority Records at the time. It's that simple. From a corporate perspective, it was more about money than it was about money for the artist. Because as we know, Dr. Dre said he wasn't getting what he was supposed to be getting over there at Ruthless at the particular time. Right. At the right time. Absolutely. So I'm like I said, Cali Way. I'm going. His ex girlfriend said he didn't like him. Who's ex girlfriend? Cali Way. What you talking about? Yeah, Dr. Dre put in the work. You know what I mean? NWA is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, man. So is Tupac. You know what I mean? So everybody, got what they deserve. Everybody's gonna be remembered. Everybody's legends. Right. Like I said, people can formulate these theories, these thought patterns, and things of that nature, that really um don't add up to anything. And like I said, once again, um, when I met Dr. Dre, Dre was cool, and Dre was just about getting that work done. You know what I mean? When I was in the studio and I seen Dre work in the studio, Dre was about getting that work done. It wasn't all about no foolishness, man. I'm telling you, I seen that with my own eyes. Ain't nobody telling me nothing about that. It was about getting that work done. Period. It was about trying to find that next hit record, that next artist, that next individual, and doing what one was supposed to do. It was just that simple. And so, like I said, you know, um, yeah, but like I said, what Daz was saying, Daz, I don't think Daz meant it from that perspective. And I think he said as much, you know, when he said, we made Tupac. No, he don't mean they made Tupac, because everybody understands that Tupac was a platinum plus artist before he went to Death Row. Tupac had already been a movie star before he went to Death Row. So that's not what Daz was saying. Daz was basically saying, from the all eyes on me perspective, and when he came, to record on the Death Row, everybody dropped what they was doing and everybody showed love. And that's what it was. And that's why we have all of what we have now. the Dog Pound, they did double platinum. Um, everybody else that came from over there did crazy numbers, great numbers. You know what I mean? And everybody was able to branch off and have their own career. Nate Dogg was the king of hooks. You know what I mean? Doing his thing. Snoop is who he is, a worldwide icon. Dr. Dre is who he is. You got the Game, Eminem, and all of the other people that he worked with, and so on and so forth. So I mean, like I said, it was all history. Like I said, Suge Knight and his part, the part he played in all of that history. Like I said, once again, my question is, if Suge could change anything, if he could have done something differently, my question is, what do he think he would have did differently? From that perspective, that would be my question. I would ask you, what do you think that you could have done differently? If you could change three things, what would those three things be if he could have did it differently? That's what I would ask you from that perspective. Yeah, it was a contradiction in itself. That's what I'm saying, John Serrano. When one minute people hear it, and like I said, it all depends on what part of the argument you want to grasp your information from. You want to grasp your information from the jealousy part. You know what I mean? Or do you want and grabbed it from the part where he said, free Keefy D? So which one is it? You know, like I said, you know what I mean? And like I said, once again, I've never heard Dr. Dre say nothing bad about Tupac. I've never heard Daz say nothing bad about Tupac. People have said Snoop. I've never really heard Snoop say anything bad about Tupac. People can say what they want in regards to, and everybody has their different opinions. Like I said, respectfully so. But like I said, from that perspective, I think that from the heart of hearts, Snoop was one of the people chosen to induct Tupac into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he did a excellent job in doing that. So, like I said, if somebody want to say, like I said, if Mutai want to say that, that's based on Mutai's experience. He can say that. You know what I mean? He can say what he think he saw, what he felt. You know what I mean? And so on and so forth. But like I said, there's a lot of um when people talk about certain things, if you go back over all of the statements that they've made over time, we'll find some inconsistencies. You know what I mean? And then we'll find things that we come to know now that weren't true because people didn't have the information. um and that's just the way life is, and more will be revealed, if you will. More will be revealed. um nah, show me something bad he said about Tupac. I mean, because I've never heard nothing. I mean, you may have. Like I said, I'm saying I never heard. I need you to point that out to me. I don't know if you can put links in here, but if you can put the link in the chat, I would love to. You know what I mean? And so I can make that decision for myself. Yeah, I believe that too, Miss Matthews. That part right there, I believe. I believe that that's right. You know what I mean? Shouldn't have had any. Like I said, once again, that was beneath Tupac as your top money earner at that particular time, with the capacity to elevate everything that you were doing in films and movies and give that legitimacy to Death Row of having a bona fide superstar, not only just with music, but acting. I think Suge should have told Tupac stand down and really should have seen the true value that Tupac actually brung to Death Row. You know what I mean? Other than the current situation that people wanted to delve into. But like I said, once again, one has to change oneself before they can change somebody else. So if you telling them one somebody to do something different when you ain't doing something different yourself, it's kind of it's hypocritical, if you will. And Tupac would have spotted that immediately. Yeah, you know what I mean. So yeah, it's like a lot of things. In hindsight, 2020, you look back and you say, um, yeah, that you had to lead by example. That wasn't something that you could just tell Tupac to do because, he even you ever heard the interview with Tupac? Tupac was like, "These niggas is hypocrites. These niggas is hypocrites." You know what I mean? So I think that from that perspective, yeah, Tupac was that individual, and see, that's what I'm saying. You know, when you understand it and you go back and you sit back and you think about it, right? Tupac was a true leader, and he thought that he was leading that night in Vegas, and he wasn't. He was actually following. Yeah, he was following that night. He wasn't leading that night. You know, because like I said, if he was leading, he would have understood. Uh, this ain't got nothing to do with me. You know what I mean? You know, and he would have shook that off. Say Snoop happy and excited. Yeah, yeah. And like I said, yeah, that's true. And both was Geminis, man. Yeah, Tupac told it like he saw it. That's why he's so legendary. That's why he's so legendary. And his memory, his legacy gonna live on forever. The music, everything. You know, because he definitely gave you what he felt from his heart. And a lot of the things that Tupac said is still applicable today in his music. You know, we don't you know, you have a lot of artists that come out, like you said, that they be talking about like they, you know, oh, it's the next Tupac, or he remind me like, nah, sorry, not even hardly. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know, there was only one Tupac. There's only gonna be one Tupac for every step that he, like he said, you know, for every step that he took, you know, that led him to his early death. And he rapped as much about it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that's what that is. That's what makes a true legend. Standing by what you say and doing what you say. And like I said, once again, living and learning from your lessons. Raphael, Gary, we ain't even gonna speculate on that, right? You know what I mean? But Frank Alexander did say what he said. He was standing right there, and he heard what happened. And here, I mean, you might want to go and look that up. Like I said, I don't want to give you the wrong information, but Frank Alexander said he heard what happened when uh the guy allegedly whispered into Tupac's ear. He actually said who did it. So Daz tries to attach himself to Pac's name. Come on, man, stop. The man produced 5 songs on Tupac's biggest record, rapped on the song with Tupac. Now he trying to attach himself to Tupac's name. Come on, man, stop it. Yeah, yeah, Frank did say that. You got to go back and look because I didn't think that either. But somebody showed me the information and what Frank said to something that he whispered something in his ear. He didn't say what he said, but he said he whispered something in his ear. I mean, whatever he said, you know, it wasn't what you thought that he just said, Raphael Gary. You said that you said that he thought that he said something, and you gave a phrase which you know wouldn't have been close to the truth. But like I said, if you go back and listen to what Frank said, because Frank was standing right next to Tupac during that time, I take Frank's word on that from that perspective. It didn't have everything to do with Tupac because at that particular time, Tupac didn't know that they were hired or whatever that was. Yeah. So like I said, but I'm not gonna bore y'all with theatrics, man. More importantly, like I said, just from what I saw, um, you go back and like I said, I just wanted to point you guys to the you know the California love and point you to the music and point you to the words that were spoken in the music. And like I said, you know, anybody, Danny Boy, Mutai, anybody who said that they experienced or felt what they felt, you know, that's what they felt. And I'm not here to refute that. You know what I mean? That's what they felt. That's what they saw. You can believe. I'm just saying, when I was around, when I was at the party, when I seen Tupac interact with, you know, Dr. Dre, and everybody was cool. Like I said, once again, um, I've never heard Dr. Dre and being around him say nothing bad about Tupac in any video or anything like that. Daz just spoke what he spoke. And like I said, when you listen to the All Eyes on Me, just listening to the music at that particular time, there was very little time to be jealous and hate. You know what I mean? It was only 11 months, man. You know what I mean? So, you know, I don't think that people, you know, when Tupac immediately came over there, um, You know, whoever was in the studio when Tupac said that on the record, he's like, yeah. He said, why y'all niggas frowning? Y'all niggas still wish I was in jail. Y'all niggas, y'all wanted to see me in jail. Who was in the studio that day when Tupac said that? And who was giving him them looks like that that made him say that on the record? Y'all heard that on the record when Tupac said that? Tupac said, yeah, why y'all? What song was that he said that on? Somebody put it in the chat, man. And Tupac said, what Tupac say? Tupac say, yeah, why y'all niggas frowning? Y'all niggas act like y'all picture me rolling. There you go. CR Prophet getters. Hey, CR. I want to know who was in the studio when he was doing that song. You think they gonna tell the truth about that? Picture me rolling. He's like, yeah, y'all niggas act like y'all still wanted me to see me in jail. Who was in the studio that day? Right? Right. Yeah, old Buster's right. Traffic and Rail. See what I'm saying? You know, so Tupac, like I said, a lot of the stuff that people, talking about, Tupac expressed a lot of what he felt like, and he didn't, like I say, whoever's in the studio that day, he evidently didn't care about him saying it. You know what I mean? Picture me rolling. Why was Snoop was in the studio? What do you mean? You could do Snoop. No, I'm saying Snoop was in. See, that's what I'm saying. That we don't know that though. You know what I mean? Right. So yeah, it was a couple other people like yeah, we know that it probably was Big Syke was in there because he was on the record, right? Nah, that chain, like I said, the chain was remember Tupac had that chain. He had that it was the chain, the bracelet. Remember he had the bracelet, and it was the diamonds and the rubies, right? And then he had the ring that Yasmin just sold to Drake. Right. Like I said, hey, look, once again, Tupac said it on Picture Me Rolling. Thanks for everybody in the chat that reminded me. Justin Garrett, Traffic and Rel, Funk Machine, Tone. Yeah, thanks for reminding me of that, right? But more importantly, look, Tupac said it that, y'all niggas, why y'all looking at me like it? Y'all looking like me, like y'all still wanted me to be in jail. You know what I mean? You know, but then they said it couldn't have been Snoop because Snoop rapped on the song "Free Tupac." That's all that's on the niggas' mind. I mean, why would it be Snoop now? I don't think Snoop was there for that session. Was he there for that session? Can somebody, find somebody who was in the studio for that session? Picture me rolling when Tupac said that. You know what I mean? So, like I said, once again, hey, like you said, that it could have been. I mean, and once again, I wouldn't even say he was talking about Big Syke. I wouldn't do that because Big Syke was one of the people. Remember the shot in the picture in front of the limo when Tupac first got out of jail. The person that was there was Big Syke. So I wouldn't even make that accusation. I'm not going to loosely move like that. You know what I mean? Think about it now. The picture with Tupac getting out of jail in that white limo, the person that was standing next to him was Big Syke. So I'm not going to say he was talking about Big Syke. I'm not going to say he was talking about nobody. I just know he said it. You know what I mean? Thank you, Traffic and Rel. I appreciate that, man. Nah, he wasn't joking. Nah. He wasn't joking about Tupac wasn't joking about that one. You can hear how he said it. That was some shit that he was feeling, how motherfuckers was looking at him. You know what I mean? And like I said, once again, a lot of things that express people you can see in people's eyes that they might not say out of their mouth. You know what I mean? You can read a lot into some things, and some things you can misread, if you will. You know what I mean? Like I said, I wouldn't say he was talking about Big Syke or anybody. I'm just saying I know he said that, and that's on that song, and like you know what I mean? Yeah. But like I said, Tupac said a lot of people were jealous of him. You know what I mean? He said that a lot of that in his songs before even coming to Death Row. You know what I mean? Go back to Me Against the World, and Tupac talks about people being jealous. So I think that came with the territory, but I don't think Daz, Snoop, Dre, and all of these dudes who was doing their own thing and trying to, get their money and doing what they did, they came off the Chronic before, Tupac was even thought of to come over there. They was working on their own albums and doing their own thing before Tupac even came over there. So yeah, like I said, and rightfully so. Just like I said, Tupac said, you know, talk about Stretch, like he said, nigga switch sides. I guess his new friends wanted him dead. You know what I mean? You know, yeah. And so it's a lot of things that go along with that, and people that Tupac thought was his friends. And like I say, it is what it is. But me personally, like I said, I just don't believe that Dad, Snoop, Dre, none of those guys were jealous of Tupac from that perspective. That they, you know what I mean? It was a great work of art that they put together. It was a great work that they put together when he came out of jail. Everybody contributed. Everybody was on it, and it's a masterpiece. And I'm gonna let that be what speaks to me about that, because like I said, but not to try to discredit what Napoleon said. He was there, under those circumstances. Like I said, not to discredit what anybody else has said, but like I said, but I'm giving credibility to Jay Flex. You know what I mean? Who said that him? I'm gonna give credibility to Jay Flex, who said he had gotten to an altercation with the Outlaws, right? He spoke about that and saying that, yo, they all good and cool and cool today. You know what I mean? I'm gonna give credibility to Dr. Dre. And like I said, when I've been around him and any interviews that I've seen him in and heard him in, he ain't never said nothing negative about Tupac. Like I said, I haven't heard Tupac. I haven't heard uh Snoop. Like I said, everybody saying Snoop said something about negative. I haven't heard Snoop say nothing negative about Tupac. But please point it out to me. I need you to send that to me in my chat. Text it to me, because I had never heard that. I've heard him say nothing but positive things, inducting Tupac into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, all of those things. So where all of these other you know people saying what they saying, like I said, they can say that if they experienced it. Hey, it is what it is. Like I said, your boy DELRAY, straight gang. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. I appreciate y'all. One love.